Before we dive into this episode, we wanted to take the opportunity to say a heartfelt thank you for being here. Whether you've been with us from the very beginning when we started this podcast in 2019 or you're new, welcome.
We hope you enjoy what you hear, and if you do, please download it, share it with friends, and leave a review. It really helps us get better guests and share the midlife love. In our 20s and 30s, expectations feel hopeful, like there's always more time, more chances, more room to fix things. But in midlife, expectations hit us differently. They're no longer just about what might happen, they're about who we thought we'd be by now.
In this episode, we're diving into why the disappointment of unmet expectations feels more personal in midlife, what's happening in our brain when reality doesn't match the picture we had in our head, and how to update expectations without lowering standards. We hope this discussion helps you feel less alone and more hopeful about who you're becoming in this next phase of life.
Hi, I'm James Davis.
And I'm Claire Davis.
We're the Midlife Mentors, here to lift the lid on how to achieve health and happiness.
The balanced, no-nonsense way.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Midlife Mentors with me, James.
It's me, Claire. It's early morning here. We're recording this in Ibiza.
The sun is shining. We're up before sunrise. Watch sunrise down on the beach. Beautiful.
It was gorgeous. The sky is really red just before the sun comes up at the moment. It's just absolutely stunning. But I was up at like 4:45 this morning. You know, one of those mornings where you're like, I'm just going to get up. So I feel like I've had quite a lot of the day already, actually. And then we're off to the gym.
Still so much to go.
I might be a bit tired later.
Yeah, but we were just reflecting this morning, like how beautiful this island is. Also, you've got the pine trees, the turquoise seas, the sun coming up. And remember, listeners, you have the chance to join us here at the beginning of May, the first bank holiday in May. We're running our midlife reset retreat. Only 8 clients plus us 2. So it's a really deep coaching experience, plus a lot of fun too. So we'll put the details in the show notes. If you want to join us, grab a spot. There's not many left.
It's for midlifers who are just kind of thinking, I've done a lot, but I'm not done yet. And just reconsidering the next steps for this amazing future that you have in front of you. So yeah, like James said, we'll put the details in the show notes for that. But let's crack on to what we're going to be speaking to you about today. So I suppose this came about that, you know, we're going to be talking about expectations. And I know for me personally, I come up against myself frequently where I have an expectation, and it's just human nature. I have an expectation of what things are supposed to be like, how things are supposed to go. And when they don't go exactly as I planned, I've got better with this, by the way. It used to knock me off course a lot more than it does now. But yeah, I would just be like, oh, you know, there's that sense of failure, of disappointment, of unmet needs. And I suppose James and I were talking about that as we're heading back to London in 4 weeks' time, about the expectations that we've had here and the expectations we have of moving back. So we just thought it might resonate with you. So we're going to dive into expectations today.
Yeah, I think it's a great subject because I think it's something that a lot of us struggle with, right? And it's finding that balance, because we set a goal, you know, and we're told we should set goals, and obviously we should.
Yeah.
But we then start to put expectations in place around that goal. Like, what will that goal look like? What will it feel like? And the danger is we want to make that goal tangible enough that we feel motivated to go towards it, but we want to detach from the outcome. Because here's the thing: often when we got there, you know, it could be like, okay, I've achieved that thing. It's great. This is you know, what I wanted to get. But something about it doesn't feel quite the same as the expectation I had around it, or I thought this would be slightly different. And then it can often derail us. We go through a period of like coming back down, thinking again, like, okay, well, where do I go from here? So expectation can be helpful in one sense for helping us move forward, but also it can be demotivating in another sense.
Yeah, and I think we were talking about this when we were in Ibiza town a few weeks ago, actually, which is where this idea came from. You know, James and I were talking about the fact that we have learnt, particularly in the last couple of years, to hold things a bit lighter. So detach from the expectation of that outcome and don't hold on to everything so tightly. And so today we're going to talk about the fact that, you know, we're going to take you through why this happens, but we're also going to, as always, we're going to give you some tips at the end. And we would love your thoughts and feedback around this. But just to kind of start off, what is really important to say is in our 20s and 30s, expectations are often hope-based. So, for example, oh, it'll work out. How many times did we say that to ourselves when we were in our 20s? Oh, don't worry, it'll work out. I've got some time. If I just try harder, things will be different. The difference is at midlife, expectations become, it's like shift towards that identity-based expectation. So these kind of things are what goes on in our heads. I thought I'd be happier by now. I thought my relationship would feel a bit different than it does. I didn't expect to feel this tired, this flat, this restless, this unfulfilled. And this isn't what success was meant to feel like. This wasn't what I was promised. So 20s and 30s, hope-based, looking forward, excited. Midlife, identity-based, disappointment. And that's why it feels more personal at midlife, because it's not just that this didn't work out. It's what does this say about me at this stage of my life when I was promised it was going to look different?
Yeah, I think it's a point well made there, Claire. Because I think, when we're younger, we're like, well, I've still got time, I've still got time. But what I hear over and over of people saying to me, when I'm talking to clients, it's like, oh, well, it's too late for me. And like, let's get rid of that thinking. Yeah, certain things might be too late, but what do you still want to achieve? What can you go for? You've still got a long way ahead of you. So harness that positively. Let's look at a bit about the neuroscience. And I love diving in. So I was running a workshop for a corporate yesterday, actually, on self-leadership. And I touched on this because it does have such an impact on us.
I knew this was going to be for you, this bit of the podcast.
Yeah. I'm going to dive deep into the neuroscience here, listeners. So we're basically exposed to so much stimulus every second, like billions of it. We can't actually process it all. So our brains don't actually give us an accurate picture of reality. Think of them as like a prediction engine. I always say they're an inference machine. They basically will use our past experiences, our beliefs, our values to filter and go, okay, this is what I think is happening here. It will present us a view of the world that aligns with our internal state, our software, if you like. So when we're talking about expectation, our brain's probably already gone and painted quite a vivid picture of what the result is going to look like, or what the situation is going to look like. And then when the reality doesn't match that, we get a prediction error, right? And then we get stress, frustration, disappointment. We sense a threat, maybe. But let's not think about it really. It's just like, I think understanding how the brain and the mind works in terms of processing can bring a bit of compassion to it, so we can step back from it. It's biology in action. And we go, okay, well, that's not what I expected. But am I going to let that tail spin me, or am I going to go in a different direction?
Yeah, and it's really important to also talk about biology here, because dopamine, we talk about dopamine all the time. There's so much chat now about dopamine. It's our rewards hormone. It's like gives us that amazing feeling. But the science tells us that dopamine is actually about expectation, not reward. So this is new scientific research. Dopamine is about expectation, not reward. So most people don't know that it spikes in anticipation, not when the actual thing happens. Isn't that interesting? So I'm going to use this example, even just like with alcohol. So for me, it was always about that expectation of the drink rather than actually enjoying it. I got this dopamine hit before, I'd go to the pub and I'd be really excited and I'd dress up, all of that kind of stuff. And actually, when I used to drink, and this is why I stopped drinking, when I'd actually drink, I'd be like that. I'm a bit bored about it. Didn't actually happen at the time. It was the build up because of all the memories and all the expectation of it. So when you expect appreciation, when you expect change, when you expect a different effort from someone else, and you expect life to feel calmer, freer, and more confident, these expectations, your brain releases the dopamine before the reality arrives. But if that reality underdelivers, there's a dopamine drop and an emotional crash. And so this is why unmet expectations feel worse than just neutral outcomes.
And then, of course, your stress response kicks in because what you were expecting isn't there. You know, the prediction engine has failed. So we get a threat detection from the amygdala, cortisol rises, and we might become irrational. We might emotionally react. We might become, if it happens a lot over time, we become cynical, right? I've definitely seen this, experienced it. It's like, oh, I've tried so hard on this, nothing worked. Now I'm cynical. We can withdraw, our motivation drops. I want to do a metaphor here, right? So I think it's always useful to illustrate with a picture, listeners. So indulge me, if you will. It's like, you know, if you're expecting that Christmas present and it's all wrapped up under the tree, you can see the box, and let's say you think it's going to be, I don't know, that little black dress you really wanted.
James,
Me.
you need to tell me something.
Or that set of Pioneer decks, and it's, you know, it's the right shape. Maybe give it a shake. It's the right. Oh, you think great. Then Christmas morning, what's happening in your brain? You're like, I can't wait. You unwrap it, and it's not a little black dress. It's a Santa jumper. And it's not the Pioneer decks. It's a set of saucepans, and then instantly it's like, oh. But here's the challenge, right? Let's allow ourselves compassion to have the emotion of that's not what I expected. But then, okay, well, this is actually something new. What can I do with this? What's the learning experience here?
Yeah, it's so true, isn't it? Like, as we're just talking about it, there are so
You're thinking of all the crap presents.
Yeah, exactly. No, but I'm actually thinking of all the times where it is just the build up. It's the build up, it's the expectation. That's when dopamine, the biology is going on, you know, front and center. That's when it's ramped right up. And then that feeling, that crash, that emotional crash, when it isn't what you expected, is what we're experiencing at midlife on a grander scale with big life events, big things, not just a set of saucepans.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's like, oh, I've given 20 years of my life to this career, and now I find it's not fulfilled. Oh, and by the way, the company are now saying that I'm not required anymore.
Or I've given 20 years to this marriage and it's not fulfilling me anymore, and we're growing more distant and living separate lives. Yeah, all of this stuff. So I just want you to know that this is completely normal. And we're going to also just share why this often shows up now at midlife and not necessarily earlier. I kind of touched on this a little bit earlier, but a few midlife specific factors are there is less margin for fantasy now, isn't there? Time does not in James's head, but like time feels so much more real. So that kind of like that, those dreams, those hopes, that aspirations, there's less margin for that hope, really. There's more responsibility, let's be honest. Midlife feels so heavy with all the pressures and challenges that we experience. There's fewer escape routes, if that makes sense. It's not like, oh, I can just up and go and do a runner or go in a different direction. Those responsibilities weigh heavy on us. Hormonal changes, this is what we talk about all the time. They amplify emotional reactivity. There is so much changing body, mind, soul. And so that is harder. It's harder when we have these expectations that haven't been fulfilled because we've got all that going on as well. And of course, that means that our identity shifts, our career, what are we doing with our career? Do we want to carry on doing this? Our relationships, our purpose is evolving, like what's the meaning to our lives and all that kind of stuff. So this is why it really shows up. This feeling of unmet expectations is really showing up at midlife.
Now, of course, we might have that particular thing, that event, that goal, whatever. But we know we had an expectation and it wasn't fulfilled. But over time, it just be a steady drip, right? It might just be small things you don't think, oh, that wasn't what I expected, but they build up in your subconscious. So you might start noticing things like growing resentment towards work, life, partners, Like that sense of, oh, I've always got to be doing this thing. Oh, why is this so hard? It's that constant disappointment, even when things are okay. So even when something good happens, you're still like,
Yeah.
a bit,
Yeah.
and that emotional shutdown, I just don't care anymore. And then a really common one, I think is that self-blame. Like I should be further along, and that's amplified when we look at social media and we're like, oh, everyone else is doing better than I am. Remember, that is a lie. But these are all things that are going in, but it's not failure. Let's not categorize it as failure. It's outmoded expectations colliding with reality. The question is, where do I pivot? Where do I go to from here?
Yeah, and we want to reframe this. And we've kind of like given you an understanding really of why this is happening, that it's okay, that it's biology, that actually at this time of life it's more prevalent than ever before. But we want to reframe these, expectations. Expectations aren't bad. We're not saying to have expectations is bad. And it's about lowering your standards. These expectations just need to be looked at. They're unmanaged and they're unexamined. So it's actually about thinking, maybe I need to update my expectations. Maybe this time of life, success looks different for me now. Maybe like harping back and looking back all the time about what my expectations were isn't helpful. And we're going to go through this in a second with some tips. Maybe it's not helpful to keep looking back, but actually, what are my expectations, my realistic expectations for the person I am now, the life that I live now, the values that I have now?
Well, let's give you some
Yeah,
tips to finish. But we've got 5 practical tips for you.
always.
Always.
Always practical tips.
The first is separate fact from expectation. So rather than getting caught up, because I think expectations, guys, we can often get caught up in the fantasy of it and what it might mean for us in terms of bigger things. But actually, let's go back. What actually happened? What did I expect to happen? Because the emotional pain lives in the second part of that. Not what actually happened, but what you expected. The result might have actually been okay, or even good, or even great. But just because your expectation was greater, it's like, turning up to the amusement park and getting really excited and queuing for hours to go on that roller coaster. And it's an amazing roller coaster, but in your head, you're like, I thought it'd be a bit better than that. You still had the amazing experience. So it's just about recalibrating.
Absolutely. And second one is notice where expectations are actually silent rules. So unspoken expectations are pretty dangerous. And by that, I mean, the expectation that they should know better or they should know me better. But now I should, that word should.
Yes.
Oh my goodness, shoulda, woulda, coulda. I should. If they cared about me, they would. Listen, if it's never been voiced, agreed, or updated, it's a rule that you've made alone based on your reality of the world. So just think about expectations and how you've actually made them rules in your life and whether they're valid, whether they're realistic, whether they're kind. Because we often put a lot of perception and expectation on other people, whereas they're actually our rules that we've made in our life.
Update your expectations to match who you
This is
are
so
now.
important.
This is so, so important. Is my expectation matching my season of life? Let's be realistic. And we don't need to be pushing hard all the time. We just need to revisit. When's the last time you looked at your values? You did a value audit to see if maybe you're operating from outmoded values that don't suit who you are now, that your identity needs updating. So just get clear on whether your expectations are appropriate. Check in. Do I still actually even want that thing that I'm getting expectant about?
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? A lot of the time we've wanted something for so long and we are promised this kind of illusion of happiness when we get it. But actually, it might never have been ours in the first place. Or actually, the person that we are now, we're changing all the time, especially at midlife with our hormones and everything, like the pressures of life. We are changing so much that actually they just might not adhere to what we hold dear. Like they might not be important to us anymore. So stop living your life with those old expectations and old values. And this is the work that we do. It's really important to look at where your energy is going and your values, because that's often the time when you feel very off in your life, is when your values aren't aligned with what you want now. So the next one, number 4, is replace outcome expectations with process intentions. And so what I mean by that, instead of saying this should fix me, how many times do we say that? If I do this, it will fix me. Instead, and this should make me happy. Try this instead because it's a bit softer. I'm choosing this because it aligns with my values. I'm open to what this is going to teach me. So this keeps that dopamine steadier and reduces emotional crashes. So instead of putting all your eggs in one basket and expecting this one thing to fix you and make you happy, just go, okay, I'm choosing this because I believe that it aligns with who I am and what I think is important. And I'm open to what this teaches me, whether it goes exactly as I wanted it to or not. I know I'm going to learn something about myself and grow as a person anyway. And I have to say, this is kind of where James and I are at right now. And I think this is that conversation we were having. This just highlights to me how I've shifted in that sense of, like, I'm just happy with what this has got to teach me, how it's going to change my heart. And I'm open to the doors that, are closing and opening in front of me.
The last one is a tricky one, I'll admit. It's treating disappointment as data, not a drama. And that can be really hard, because disappointment is a real emotion. And it's not to say, like, this is not saying don't set goals, don't go for them. But it's just, this is old one, detach from the outcome.
Yeah, it's
right?
kind of
Which
what we
is really hard to do.
said.
Detach from the outcome. Like, wouldn't it be nice to have that thing? If I get it, great. But also, if I don't, also great. What am I going to learn from it? It's using that. I hate to use the word failure, but when we don't achieve what we thought we'd achieve, when the expectations don't match, what's the learning? What are the data points I can look at? And how can I do something differently next time in terms of either the actions I'm taking or the expectations I build around it so that I actually feel happier and more grounded?
Yeah, and I suppose another thing that we haven't got here, so this isn't really point 6, but I would say one of the things that's really helped me with this is when things don't go my way or how I expected them. One of the things that I really try and remind myself is of all the things. It is honestly gratitude for what we already have. So you're expecting life to be different, to look different, but when we're in that space, we're not looking at what has already manifested for us. All the wonderful things that we already do have, all the things that we did expect that we do have.
Yeah, great point there.
I look back over the last few years and there's been some real twists and turns, but actually there are so many things. When I'm focused on what I don't have and how it hasn't turned out, I completely block out all the amazing things that have manifested in my life, in James's life, and everything over the last few years. So the very quick antidote to feeling like, I'm disappointed, my expectations haven't been met, is to spend a lot of time in gratitude.
Remember all the things that did go really well.
Yeah, that have met your expectations. Because when we're sitting in that grumpy place of moaning, we don't open up our hearts to that joy and that gratitude. So just that came to me because it's one of the things that has really helped me shift this. Because I think, one of the things that James has noticed about me, this has really changed for me. But there's still sometimes, like I said at the beginning, there are still sometimes when the expectation that I have around something can really block me from receiving the very thing that I'm trying, that I'm going for. And actually, a lot of the time, it's not the thing that I'm going for, it's the feeling.
Yeah.
So remembering all the wonderful things that I have in my life has really, really helped me release disappointment about things not going exactly as I'd planned. Yeah.
Yes.
There we are, listeners.
Hope you enjoyed that, listeners.
Yes. Do let us know how that sat with you. And I'm going to put everything in the show notes. We'd love to see you here in Ibiza. It is looking fabulous and green and lush and gorgeous. And we are sending you so much love.
We are.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.
You've been listening to the Midlife Mentors with Claire and James Davis.
We'd love to hear from you. So drop us a line at info@ themidlifementors.com with any questions or topic suggestions.
And make sure you join us on our Facebook page and YouTube channel. You can find us under The Midlife Mentors.
Yeah. What? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode. And don't forget to take the Midlife Reset Audit now to receive personalised insights into what's holding you back from living your healthiest, happiest midlife. So go ahead and take the audit now at themidlifementors.com/audit.